Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randirhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fall. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Hurricane Florence is bad and getting worse and targeting, at least for the moment, the Carolinas. At this moment, Hurricane Florence is a massive Category 4 hurricane barreling toward the East Coast. Millions of Americans are now bracing for this storm. Mandatory evacuations already for the Outer Banks of North Carolina. And breaking news now on Fox News Channel. Moments ago, the governor of South Carolina announced a mandatory evacuation for the entire coast of South Carolina.
Oh my God.
A mandatory evacuation for the entire coast of South Carolina by noon tomorrow.
That's now.
Forecasters say Florence could be catastrophic. That's the description from the National Hurricane Center. The word their forecasters are using is catastrophic. First, it reports this storm, which right now is here and huge, larger than the Carolinas at this moment, and headed directly in that direction. It could pack, they say, by landfall, winds of 150 miles an hour in isolated areas. That, the Hurricane Center, is powerful enough to flatten homes and snap power poles. But in addition, once the hurricane comes ashore, wherever it comes ashore, it's then expected to move inland and then stall. That's according to the Hurricane Center. The storm will stall somewhere along the East Coast, sit and spin, and dump rain for days, as much as 3 feet of rain in some spots. So what does that mean? Well, according to the National Hurricane Center, that means life-threatening flooding could spread for hundreds of miles with power outages and blocked escape routes.
Oh, my God. Okay, so this is why I played it on Fox News, so the people of South Carolina will freaking believe us, okay? That's why. I mean, it's all over the news. You know, you could have taken any clip you want. But he said sit and spin. And, you know, I got to tell you, I know a little something about sit and spin. Look at me. I know a little about... I'm in Florida. Of course I know. I mean, and, you know, this is really, seriously, this is a perfect storm of unfortunate circumstances, meaning you have a Category 4, maybe even a Category 5, barreling down on a place that hasn't seen a hurricane like this, probably ever, and Donald Trump is in charge. Just saying. It's two emergencies in one, everybody. Take it seriously. I'm not kidding. Take it seriously. This is Trump just minutes ago. I swear to God, this is not old tape. This is just moments ago. From his orifice to yours.
Well, I think Puerto Rico was incredibly successful. Puerto Rico was actually our toughest one of all because it's an island, so you can't truck things onto it. Everything's by boat. We moved a hospital into Puerto Rico, a tremendous military hospital in the form of a ship. You know that. And I actually think, and the governor's been very nice, and if you ask the governor, he'll tell you what a great job. I think probably the hardest one we had by far was Puerto Rico because of the island nature. And I actually think it was one of the best jobs that's ever been done with respect to what this is all about. Puerto Rico got hit not with one hurricane, but with two. And the problem with Puerto Rico is their electric grid and their electric generating plant was dead before the storms ever hit.
That's not true.
It was in very bad shape. It was in bankruptcy.
Oh, my God.
It had no money. It was largely, closed. And when the storm hit, they had no electricity essentially before the storm, and when the storm hit, that took it out entirely. The job that FEMA and law enforcement and everybody did, working along with the governor in Puerto Rico, I think was tremendous. I think that Puerto Rico was an incredible, unsung success. Texas, we have been given A+ for. Florida, we've been given A+ for. I think in a certain way, the best job we did was Puerto Rico.
Oh, my God.
But nobody would understand that. I mean, it's harder to understand. It was a very hard thing to do because of the fact they had no electric. Before the storms hit, it was dead, as you probably know. So we've gotten a lot of receptivity, a lot of thanks for the job we've done in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is very important.
Help me. Help me. Oh my God. So this is the guy that's in charge, okay? I just want to say, I just need 2,975 people died in Puerto Rico. Today is the 17th anniversary of 9/11, where about the same amount of people died 17 years ago. And while he was flying today to the 9/11 memorial in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, Trump was tweeting about collusion. Yeah, between Russia, Hillary, the FBI, and DOJ. Maybe they just didn't tell him where he was going, because then he would complain. He's probably wondering, why can't I just, memorialize, the 2,900 people that died on 9/11 from my golf course? I mean, it's so close, PA, New Jersey. Why can't I just go there? But, that's what he did. He was tweeting all morning, 7 o'clock this morning. He wrote, every day we get more documentation showing collusion between the FBI and DOJ, the Hillary campaign, foreign spies, and Russia. Incredible. Never forget. But he forgot what he was supposed to remember on 9/11. 2,900, 3,000 people dead, and about the same number in Puerto Rico, which he then flew back to the White House and patted himself on the back and said the best job he did in all the hurricane, mitigation last year was Puerto Rico, where 2,975 people died. But he was celebrating 16 deaths when he went there and threw paper towels at them. So I don't know what to tell you. All I could say is after 7 o'clock, he also tweeted, new struck page texts reveal media leak strategy at Fox News. So terrible. So this tells you what's top of mind for the president this morning, knowing that South Carolina is going to take a direct hit, that this is a sit-and-spin storm like Harvey, okay? People in Houston, people know what a sit-and-spin storm is. This is what I'm saying. Look at me. I live in Florida. I know what sit-and-spin storms are. I know all about sit-and-spin, all about it. And frankly, that is the big, look, when the winds come, and if this comes in, this thing went from a 2 to a 4 in a matter of hours, which means it's like centrifugal force. It's the eye is very well defined, and it's pulling in like an ice skater, Ice skaters want to go faster. They start the spin with their arms out. They pull them slowly in. Centrifugal force being what it is, it gives the ice skater the speed to just revolve and revolve and revolve and sit and spin and sit spin. And frankly, that's what's happened to the storm. It went from a 2 to a 4, and now they're saying it could come onshore as a 5. A 5, just so you know, is 157 mile per hour winds without the gusts. Please get the hell out of there. Please do not stay there. That's why I chose the Fox News report for you. This is you're looking at high tide. You're looking at a hurricane. You're looking at 30 inches of water in some places. This thing's going to go so far. Now, I don't know where it's going to hit, but it looks to me like Wilmington. Looks like, but from Myrtle Beach to Wilmington, all the way to, Cape Hatteras, not good. And by the way, there are 2 more storms behind Florence. Now, there's one called Isaac that it looks like it's going to, go north and stay off shore. And then there's another one right behind that one called Helene, and no one knows where that one's going. Could come to me for all I know. But I'm telling you, as somebody who has been through Andrew, been through, Irma last year, 9 days we didn't have electricity. 9 days. Remember that? I still have it on my bulletin board. That's what's written on the bulletin board. Irma, leave us alone. Maria is the one that hit Puerto Rico. Harvey is the one that hit Houston. I mean, honest to God, man, these things are just like more powerful and but astonishing winds are not the biggest danger to you. It's going to be the storm surge. It's going to be the water. You're talking about a wall of water that could swallow parts of the entire coast. Okay? They're talking storm surge 20-foot range. So just for the people who haven't experienced this crud, I got to tell you, 12 feet is life-threatening. They're talking another 8 feet. This is Katrina territory. This is bad, bad, bad stuff, okay? And it's if it sits there and stalls, okay, all jokes aside, you're going to have inland flooding, the likes of which and it is forecasted to stall. So you're talking about 20 inches of rain. And last week we almost had a hurricane here named Gordon, but it turned north and headed to you in the Carolinas. So your ground is saturated, which means it can't absorb all of this water that's coming your way. So inland flooding is going to be a major threat. And people who are just far away from the landfall aren't going to know. They're just, you're going to think this is big fun and ain't this great? It ain't great. And let me tell you something. You know who suffers? The people in nursing homes, the people that live in, places where you're not used to this crap. So I'm just terrified. I'm terrified for this area only because I saw people not evacuating again. You do this all the time. Then we have to come and get you. And you got a president who's tweeting on 9/11 about Hillary Clinton at 7 o'clock in the morning and then 7:20. And then finally he mentioned 9/11. Finally, in this blizzard of tweets, he finally said, Rudy Giuliani did a great, in all caps, great job as mayor of New York City during the period of September 11th. Really? He put the emergency response center in the World Trade Center. Douche. And then when Hillary went there, she was walking right next to him. And he has the nerve to say all these years later that he doesn't remember seeing Hillary. She was right next. I mean, it's just so that she was the senator from New York. So, of course, she was there. But he wrote, his leadership, bravery, and skill must never be forgotten. Rudy is a, all caps, true warrior. So we're not supposed to forget Hillary Clinton and collusion on 9/11 and Rudy. That's what we're supposed to remember on 9/11, where we lost 3,000 people, and Maria, where we lost 3,000 people. He thinks he did a great job. Listen, this is crazy, but I'm telling you, you got two major emergencies. The president of the United States is named Donald J. Trump, and you've got could be Category 5 hurricane. And, I don't know if you saw this, and I'm not playing it because it was so disrespectful. You know how they trash Colin Kaepernick and his compadres for taking a prayerful knee? He did a double fist pump when he saw the crowd in Shanksville, as if it was going to be a great day. I half expected him to go into the diatribe about the Electoral College victory and how he got, 270 wasn't possible and he got 306. I mean, incredible. Incredible. This man he's dangerous.
Clear for all things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Donald, you have one of the landmark buildings down in the financial district, 40 Wall Street. Did you have any damage, or did what's happened down there?
Well, it was an amazing phone call I made. 40 Wall Street actually was the second tallest building in downtown Manhattan, and it was actually, before the World Trade Center, was the tallest. And then when they built the World Trade Center, it became known as the second tallest, and now it's the tallest.
This is what he said on 9/11. This is what the man was thinking about on 9/11. They called him up. The buildings were falling. And he said, well, now my building is the tallest. Okay. I think we have a really good chance of taking the Senate. I can't express to you how how important all this is, okay? And the hurricane in South Carolina, North Carolina, maybe even parts of Virginia, is going to have a very big impact on this election. There is no question. And he has to know this. So in one way, I hope that South Carolina, North Carolina, parts of Virginia get the best care humanly possible out of this administration. On the other hand, I don't know that he's capable of doing anything. I just don't. I just don't know. But, you know, because I've been through so many hurricanes, I know how scary they should be. I know how scared they should be there. And it doesn't seem like they're taking it seriously, you know, because they haven't seen stuff like this. I think the last big hurricane that South Carolina had, what was that? Was it like Hazel or something? It's like, you know, like 100 years ago or something. Then they had Hugo like 29 years ago. People don't, you know, they don't. But anyway, I'm breathless because Irma is still, you know, firmly affixed in my mind. Wilma before that, and before that, Andrew. Oh, my God. You have no idea. You have no idea. If you've never been through it, you just don't know. You have no earthly idea, like, what's coming. And it all depends on how good your president is. It truly does. It just depends on whether he knows what he's doing. And, you know, you got the same FEMA guy that you had in Maria doing, you know, FEMA now. You got the same guys. So good luck to, you know, like, where's Michael Brown when you need him? Where's, you know, you'd almost be better off with George Bush. Brownie, you're doing a heck of a job. Just saying, some presidents are good at this. You know, like I remember, you know, we had James Lee Witt, who used to be our FEMA director. That man was magic. He was insanely good. But we don't have people like that anymore because they don't serve people like Donald Trump. Just saying, they don't. But, okay, so I want to focus on, you know, the fact that Congress is supposed to be doing work this week, but because they piled up all their work, they didn't do jack crap. This House, this Senate, both of them did nothing. Nothing. You have all these appropriations bills that they did not do. And so now there's a ton of work piled up on their desk. They have the Jewish holiday off, so they have an abbreviated week this week. Right? It's Rosh Hashanah, by the way. Happy New Year to those who celebrate. Loretta came over for her New Year's chicken. She's still eating the carcass right now. She keeps threatening to make soup. Every year I'll make soup out of it. I've never seen a soup. Never. She's never done it. But she always takes the carcass. It's a tradition in my family. He threatened to make soup. But they didn't do jack crap, and now they have a short week. Guess what they're doing next week? Recess. Swear to God. They're going on recess. And now you got this hurricane coming. They're supposed to be voting in the Senate. The House is on recess. They're supposed to be voting in the Senate on Kavanaugh, meaning not the whole Senate, but the Senate Judiciary Committee is supposed to vote him out of the Senate Judiciary Committee onto the full floor. How in the hell are they going to do this? Okay, with this emergency barreling down, and Washington is on the East Coast, might I remind you, in the Mid-Atlantic. So, do you know what I'm saying? So, what if they have to cancel the Senate activities too? Let me tell you something. They are September 30th. We run out of money again because they always leave it to the last possible second. They've done no work whatsoever, none whatsoever. You got Kavanaugh on top of this. Here's They have a farm bill, a massive, massive freaking farm bill. It's a sit and spin, meaning it's stalled. It's stalled because the House is fighting with the Senate. They have the majority in both chambers. They have a president who would sign a cocaine-covered $10 bill if they put it in front of him, okay? They have a president that will sign any damn thing. And they've got the majority in the House. They've got the majority in the Senate, and they still can't get their work done. Listen to me. This has got to stop. We need to get out there and vote. I can't. The blue wave has got. They're clashing over food stamps. The House Republicans want work requirements for very low income beneficiaries of the EBT cards. The Senate is so tight, and the Democrats say, are you freaking kidding me? If these people could work, we have like full employment now. If they could find a job, they'd have it. And their jobs don't even make ends meet. What are you doing? What are you talking about here? You're talking about, children. And so September 30th, no farm bill, no farm bill. So they decided that they're going to have minibus packages instead of omnibus packages. And they had 3 minibus packages. And now they say they can't even get to those. So they're going to sideline one of the minibus. Oh, my God. And they're going to try and pass the remaining 2. And if they can't, they're just going to rubber stamp last year's spending. They're just going to, do a continuing resolution, which is what they do every single year. They don't even bother. We're running crazy deficits. The only thing they show up for is tax cuts for the wealthy. You got a farm bill, and the farm bill is supposed to help alleviate the trade war, the stuff he's doing on soybeans. And now you've got a majority in the House, you got a majority in the Senate, and they can't get their crap together, and they're blaming each other now? Seriously, they're blaming each other. The GOP is literally blaming the GOP. This is so dysfunctional. This is such a crappy government. I can't even... You have like the chairman of the House Agriculture Committee, Representative Frank Lucas from Oklahoma, and he's like cursing out the Senate on the Farm Bill. He said, well, the Senate's taken a very hardcore position. And for him, a hardcore position is you better work if you want to eat. That's what he wants. He wants, if you want to eat, you better freaking work. And he said, you won't see House language as passed, but by the same token, the Senate is going to have to give. We just can't maintain the status quo. Can't give EBT cards to people who can't find work. Can't do it. You just have to starve. This is America, for God's sake. And Trump is the third hitching the get along here, because Trump says if they don't pass a budget that funds his stupid wall, he's going to shut down the government. How would that look in the middle of a flood? By the way, as far as his plans currently look, yesterday he had on his schedule lunch with Mike Pence. Today he had on his schedule lunch with Mattis, but, he had to do something. So he, went to Shanksville and then, had the press into the Oval Orifice to tell everybody what a great job he did in Puerto Rico. That was, something added. That was an added extra feature of today's schedule because there was nothing really on it. But Thursday, after this storm, or maybe just as the storm is hitting the mid-Atlantic coast or South Carolina, North Carolina, somewhere there. I'm looking at it. It looks like Wilmington to me, but it could move. Are you telling me that the president's current plan is he's going to be at one of his stupid rallies in Missouri while the hurricane is slamming into the Carolinas? Really? I know he canceled the Mississippi. I couldn't even figure out what the hell he's doing in Mississippi. Why is he going to Mississippi on Friday? But he canceled because of the storm. This is his excuse. The storm. But Thursday, he's still on for Missouri so he could campaign against Claire McCaskill, who's in a dead heat. It's a complete tie in Missouri between the Republican and Claire McCaskill. I don't know. I mean, that would really be a circus. I mean, if he does that, we win. So just saying, maybe he will. It's sick. It would be heartless. It would be so self-serving. It would be so Trump if he did that. But anyway, he's threatening to shut down the government if he doesn't get money for his stupid wall. And you've got guys like Richard Shelby saying, I would think he would sign our bills. In my judgment, it's not in the president's interest to shut down the government in any way. It's something I try not to think about. Well, if he did it now during a hurricane, oh my God, because no matter what happens on September 13th, which is the day it's supposed to hit, This isn't going to be over on September 30th. The Carolinas are looking at a long-ass cleanup. I mean, these things, water is so damaging. Wind, yes, but water, oh, my God. So now you got this big pileup of legislative, to do, and they're off next week because they're in recess in the House. And the Senate, he's threatening to, all I can say is everybody is worried. McConnell said today that he's not sure they can keep the Senate. So I'm thrilled about that. But the House Republicans, they are literally deciding now. This is unbelievable. I mean, this is who these Republicans are. They just refuse to do the work. They just refuse. They have all this legislation piled up on their desks. They're fighting with their colleagues in the Senate. The president is threatening to veto anything that they put on his desk because he wants the stupid money for the wall. And the House Republicans are considering canceling October. No, I'm not kidding. They have a 2-week session scheduled, only 2 weeks. Seriously, what they have here is about 7 legislative days to get all this work done, just to put it in perspective. They never work, these people. You know they never do. But they have a 2-week in-session schedule currently in October, and they're saying that they're likely to cancel the 2-week session in October so they could go out on the campaign trail. They were going to cancel the last week in September, but now they see how much work is piled up, and so they said, well, we can't leave the last week in September, so we're going to leave next week. They're literally taking off next week. They have an abbreviated week this week. Then next week they're off. They were going to take off the last week in September, and then they were going to come back and do 2 weeks in October, but they think they're going to cancel the 2 weeks in October so that they go out on the campaign trail. This is insane. But this is who they are. And when they show you how lazy, how weak, how I mean, they just postpone and postpone and postpone. They never tackle any real issues. Every year it's the same thing. Continuing resolution, threaten to shut down the government. I mean, this is, and they have 12 must-do appropriations bills. 12 of them. They are literally dispensing with 9 of them, meaning they'll just do continuing resolutions. They're only even trying to get 2 appropriations bills finished. They have all year to do this work, and they never do it. It's who they are. It's what they do. And then they were mulling whether to do another tax cut for the wealthiest Americans. And they were mulling over whether they were going to take another crack at repealing Obamacare. And now the Senate has to confirm Brett Kavanaugh. They have all this crap, and now everything is on hold. I doubt there'll be a vote on Thursday on Brett Kavanaugh. I doubt it. But, you'll know if I'm right or not on Thursday is what and they'll blame it on the storm, which is, what they'll do. But there is no way. There is just no way. And by the way, I have to tell you, Brett Kavanaugh is highly, highly suspect all over the media. I mean, all over. The newspapers, people who study Brett Kavanaugh and studied those kinds of, that they know he lied. They know he lied under oath. They know that he's a front-running phony. They know that, perjury is like, and you know what? That's a beauty, because if they do end up confirming that man, this man could be impeached. This man could. Everybody always asks me, well, if they confirm him, is there any way we can get him, get him out of there? Yeah, it's called impeachment. And you get me a Democratic Congress, you get me a Democratic Senate, we can get him out of there. We can get rid of him. I don't know if you saw David Brock on the TV with Joy Reid this weekend, but I had read the article. David Brock created Media Matters. We used to talk to David Brock all the time back in the day because David Brock was a conservative operative funded by another billionaire back in the day named Richard Mellon-Scaife of the Mellon fortune, okay? One of the original robber baron families. And Brock used to work for the American Spectator, and they're the ones that were paid to plant fake stories about Bill Clinton. What I didn't, and then finally he had a cleansing moment of clarity, and he confessed to all these dirty tricks that he was part of, and he wrote a book called Blinded by the Right, where he told anybody who would read a book how fake their news was and how they were feeding. What I didn't know is he's Kavanaugh's friend. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.